Everyone. As you may tell or not tell by my outfit, I am Athena, the goddess of war, minion Michelle. This is my shield. Uh, I am going to be discussing for this Book Review Wednesday in particular a series of books that has been relatively popular over the years and have come to be, I think, known as classics when it comes to sort of more children's mystery books, and that is the Nancy Drew series. And what's interesting about the Nancy Drew series is that it spanned for a pretty long time. There are, I believe, 175 books in total that are really part of the actual series of mysteries. And it started in 1930 and went all the way up till recently 2003. So and what's interesting too about the Nancy Drew series is you'll often find at times that it crosses over with the Hardy Boys, which were basically the sort of, I guess you could say, boy version of Nancy Drew. And the interesting thing, though, as well, is that a lot of these Nancy Drew stories were actually written by different people throughout the years, but all under the same penman or under the same author name, titled Carolyn Keene. And what's also really interesting as well about this series is that you really get to see how sort of Nancy evolved if you really go through and read through all of the different books, because she initially starts out as sort of this smart, adventurous, flippant, kind of out there protagonist, excuse me, and in doing so, that would be how she would end up solving the mysteries through her personality and skill set. And then eventually, her character sort of altered into being a little bit more calm, cool, and collected, and not as out there compared to what she was earlier on within the series of books. And I think, though, what has stood out, at least in large part why a lot of people like to sort of praise Nancy Drew in particular, is that she's fairly determined in every mystery that's put in front of her. She really goes out of her way to try and solve the mystery, so to speak. And I think that's really largely what a lot of things I think boil down to in life is if you have the determination to do something, then you'll ultimately be able to do it. And I think what's important to note, and why oftentimes, in particular, Nancy Drew is often associated with this time that, at least within the 21st century, they like to call Halloween, is the fact that a lot of the mysteries sort of revolve around something kind of spooky or creepy, sometimes even, haunted places, things of that nature, really do kind of bring out the sort of festivities that we would come to associate with when it comes to Halloween, and a lot of it is presented within the Nancy Drew series of books. And I think also Nancy Drew has inspired a lot of other sort of mystery stories and things that are more kid oriented. In particular, the ScoobyDoo television show, I think, drew a large inspiration from Nancy Drew, as well as the Hardy Boys as well. So you really do see how this series in particular allowed for mystery solving and that kind of mindset for kids to kind of be evolved as a result of Nancy Drew sort of taking off and being fairly successful over the years. And really, the good thing too about this series is the variety of different circumstances in which uh, Nancy Drew finds herself in, and how she kind of overcomes them, and how each plot tries to offer a completely new set of circumstances and such. So I think that's just something that's important to note from that series in particular. And it's definitely, I would definitely recommend, have you not read any of the Nancy Drew books, to explore them, because I think they are worthy of recognition and recommendation if you're interested in that kind of mystery solving series of books, um, and having each book sort of revolve around a different, again, set of circumstances is not really necessarily anything that's built up. It's just more so one book after the other that centers on a completely different time and circumstances. But I think that's ultimately all I can say about this particular series. However, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year. Hopefully I can come by next year. But I wish the next minion luck, and goodbye.